Drug boat, 65 miles away from TNT. The 11 men killed in a lethal U.S. military strike on an alleged Venezuelan drug-carrying vessel earlier this week reportedly departed from San Juan de Aner, a small coastal fishing town off the Arismendi municipality of Sucre, Venezuela, just approximately 65 miles from Trinidad's northern coast. On Tuesday afternoon, the U.S. confirmed the strike in the southern Caribbean and the deaths of 11 deemed narco-terrorists that they later identified as part of the Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang. Footage released from the White House yesterday depicted the craft engulfed in fire. U.S. President Donald Trump said that the military strike had been carried out earlier that morning, Tuesday, in the Southcom region on his orders, and that the gang is a designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Please let this serve as notice to anybody even thinking about bringing drugs into the United States of America. Beware. Thank you for your attention to this matter, wrote Trump. The strike followed a U.S. military buildup in the southern Caribbean that began last week and includes at least 8 warships, an amphibious assault ship, and other naval resources. Speaking to U.S. media shortly after the strike, Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that drugs on board the vessel were likely heading to Trinidad or another Caribbean country. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who weeks ago welcomed a U.S. presence in the Caribbean to combat what she said were massive spikes in transnational crime, praised the strike. "Kill them all violently," she said of drug traffickers, a remark that has since unsettled fisherfolk and civil society groups. In a report today, Venezuelan independent media El Pitazo attributed the victims to San Juan de Aner. The report states that their sources indicated that the vessel had left the Venezuelan coast on Sunday and was destroyed on Monday in the Caribbean Sea. 8 of the men were natives of the area, and 3 were from neighboring towns, it said. Families and neighbors of the 11 men were pained and outraged over their deaths. San Juan of Aner in mourning. May those fathers who enter this world out of necessity rest in peace, so that their families can live a little better. This is one of the messages being repeated by users on social media, primarily on TikTok. El Pitazo states, "How you left us, my brother. Behind that was God's will. There are a lot of tears and a lot of, I don't understand why you, my precious one. You're going to be missed so much here. You left my heart in 1,000 pieces," are the messages with photos and videos that the relatives of the deceased post on TikTok, El Pitazo states. Similar messages were found during the express search on TikTok. Family members and friends, it said, also deny that footage of the attack was AI-generated, as was claimed by Venezuelan Minister of Communication and Information Freddy Nanas yesterday. El Pitazo states that its sources indicated that the vessel was a speedboat, 12 meters long by 2.5 meters wide, with 4 200-horsepower engines. It states that sources claimed 2 other boats, loaded with drugs, left the island and passed along the same route without being intercepted. A map of the last estimated locations of the U.S. deployments to the Caribbean as of September 3rd was compiled by American magazine Newsweek, which reported that the U.S. has deployed at least 8 warships and 1 submarine to the eastern Caribbean. Map of military. They include the Gravely, Jason Dunham, and Samson, which are Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers conducting counter-narcotics patrols, maritime surveillance, and escort missions. According to Newsweek, their advanced radar and missile systems provide both defensive and offensive capabilities for the broader U.S. naval presence. A WASP-class amphibious assault ship, the Iwo Jima, is the lead command vessel of the Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group, which includes the San Antonio and Fort Lauderdale San Antonio-class transport and logistical support ships. The Lake Erie, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, the Minneapolis-St. Paul, a Freedom-class littoral combat ship, and the Newport News, a Los Angeles-class nuclear-powered fast attack submarine, are also included. The map indicates that the USS Gravely was last estimated to be closest to Trinidad and Tobago, just north of Puerto Cabello in Venezuela. President Trump yesterday said of the strike on the vessel that it was a necessary effort for the U.S. to send an unmistakable message to Latin American cartels. According to the Associated Press, when asked why the military did not intercept the vessel and capture the men on board, he said, "There were massive amounts of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people, and everybody fully understands that, obviously, they won't be doing it again." And I think a lot of other people won't be doing it again. When they watch that tape, they're going to say, let's not do this.